South Korea is in trouble. It's a nation on edge. The country boasts the world's 10th largest economy. It's a technological powerhouse, but behind this shiny facade lies a dark secret. A shockingly high suicide rate. South Korea has the highest suicide rate among developed nations. This isn't just a statistic, it's a national tragedy. Every day, nearly 40 people end their lives in South Korea. That's a staggering number. It's time to ask why. What's driving this epidemic of despair? The answers are complex. They involve a perfect storm of societal pressures, economic anxieties, and deep-rooted cultural factors. South Korea is a nation grappling with its identity. It's caught between tradition and modernity. The pressures to succeed are immense. The cost of failure is often unbearable. This isn't just a Korean problem, it's a human problem. It's time to shine a light on this crisis. We need to understand it, we need to address it, we need to find solutions before more lives are lost. To understand South Korea today, we need to look back at its past. Korea's history is one of turmoil and foreign intervention. The Korean War, a brutal conflict that divided the peninsula, casts a long shadow. The US played a pivotal role in that war. It continues to exert significant influence on South Korea.
After the war, South Korea experienced rapid economic growth. This miracle on the Han River came at a cost. It led to intense competition. It created a culture of overwork. The US, while an ally, has also contributed to South Korea's anxieties. The presence of US military bases is a source of tension. American cultural exports, from Hollywood movies to fast food chains, have further fueled consumerism and materialism. This complex history continues to shape South Korean society. The scars of the past are still felt today. The legacy of war, division, and foreign influence contributes to a sense of unease. This, in turn, can exacerbate feelings of isolation and hopelessness.
Imagine living in a pressure cooker. That's what life is like for many in South Korea. The country is obsessed with success. Academic achievement is paramount. Getting into a top university is seen as a matter of life or death.
The competition doesn't end there. It spills over into the job market. South Koreans work some of the longest hours in the developed world. They face immense pressure to succeed in their careers. Failure is not an option. It brings shame and disgrace. This relentless pressure takes a toll. Conformity is another key factor. South Korean society values uniformity. Standing out from the crowd is frowned upon. This stifles creativity. It can lead to feelings of alienation. This pressure cooker environment leaves little room for individuality. It contributes to a sense of hopelessness and despair.
Mental health remains a taboo subject in South Korea. It's often seen as a sign of weakness. People are reluctant to seek help. They fear social stigma. This silence is deadly.
The stigma surrounding mental health prevents people from getting the help they need. Many suffer in silence. They bottle up their emotions. This can lead to a downward spiral. The lack of open dialogue about mental health is a major problem. South Korea needs to break down these barriers. It needs to create a more supportive environment. Mental health services need to be more accessible and affordable. Education and awareness campaigns are crucial.
Section 5, trapped by the economy.
South Korea's economic miracle has come at a price. While the country has prospered, many individuals struggle to make ends meet. The gap between rich and poor is widening.
The cost of living is skyrocketing. Housing is becoming increasingly unaffordable. Young people face bleak job prospects. They are burdened by student loan debt.
This economic anxiety fuels feelings of hopelessness. Many South Koreans feel trapped. They see no way out of their financial struggles. This can lead to desperation. It can contribute to suicidal thoughts and behaviors.
Section 6, the long shadow of American influence. The US and South Korea are allies, but America's influence on South Korea is, well, a double-edged sword. The US has helped to rebuild South Korea and has provided military protection.
However, American culture has also contributed to South Korea's problems. The emphasis on individualism and consumerism clashes with traditional Korean values. The presence of US military bases is a source of tension. It reminds South Koreans of their country's divided past.
America's influence is complex and multifaceted. It's important to acknowledge both the positive and negative aspect. The US has a responsibility to be mindful of its impact on South Korean society. Section 7 experts sound the alarm. Mental health professionals in South Korea are deeply concerned. They are on the front lines of this crisis and witness the devastating impact of suicide every day.
These experts point to a number of factors driving the high suicide rate. They cite societal pressures, economic anxieties, and the stigma surrounding mental health. They stress the need for greater awareness and support.
Sociologists are also sounding the alarm. They argue that South Korea's rapid modernization has come at a cost. They point to the erosion of traditional support systems and call for a more holistic approach to addressing the crisis. Section 8 Faces of the Crisis Personal Stories. Behind the statistics are real people. Each suicide is a tragedy that leaves behind families shattered by grief. It's important to listen to the stories of those affected by this crisis.
One mother shared the heartbreaking story of her son's suicide. He was a top student with a bright future ahead of him, but the pressure to succeed became too much. He felt like a failure.
Another story involved a young woman who took her own life after struggling to find a job. She was burdened by debt and felt hopeless about the future. These stories are a stark reminder of the human cost of this crisis. Section 9, Hope on the Horizon, Finding Solutions. The situation is dire, but there is hope. South Korea is starting to address its suicide crisis. The government is investing in mental health services. Awareness campaigns are challenging the stigma surrounding mental health. Schools are implementing programs to help students cope with stress. These are positive steps, but more needs to be done. South Korea needs a comprehensive approach to tackling this issue. This includes addressing societal pressures, improving economic opportunities, and promoting mental well-being. It's time to break the silence. It's time to offer hope to those who are struggling. It's time to save lives.